Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 2,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy the content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
There's a genuinely interesting mix of storylines coming out of Santa Clara today. A couple of roster moves that reveal exactly how seriously this coaching staff takes the punter position. A real, honest conversation about whether Nick Bosa is actually entering a make-or-break contract year. And a genuinely exciting preview of a brand new wrinkle that could be added to Fred Warner's already dominant game. Let's break down all of it. The punter competition nobody expected to care about this much. Let's start with a couple of roster moves from over the weekend. The 49ers signed punter Jack Boasmeister out of Australia, and they placed undrafted Penn State tight end Khalil Dinkens on the active, non-football injury list. Special teams people are people too, and this punter competition is genuinely worth understanding. Here's why this actually matters heading into training camp. Last season, veteran Thomas Morstead handled the punting duties, largely because of his existing familiarity with special teams coordinator Brian Boyer from their overlapping time together with the Jets. Morstead did a reasonably solid job stepping into that role, but he was always viewed as a one-year holdover solution given his age and the fact that he'd been in the league since the late 2000s. You could genuinely see throughout the season that his leg strength simply wasn't quite there anymore, though he remained viable enough to handle the job. He's no longer with this team. This year's punter competition carries real added significance too, because whoever wins that job also serves as the holder for kicker Eddie Piñeiro. This offseason, the Niners signed Piñeiro to a multi-year contract extension after he genuinely helped save last season, leading the entire NFL in field goal percentage at nearly 97%. He was money all year long. With long snapper John Weeks back in the fold, figuring out who wins that punter job matters not just for flipping field position and pinning opponents inside the 20-yard line, but also for protecting that same kicking operation. This competition comes down to Corliss Waitman, a free agent addition who's been in the league since 2020, against rookie Jack Boasmeister out of Texas. Boasmeister stands 6'3", 209 pounds, and spread his college career across Michigan State, Utah, and Texas, though he didn't actually see game action at Michigan State. Across his time at Texas and Utah, he logged 53 total games, punting 213 times for more than 9,300 total yards. Last season, specifically at Texas, he averaged 43.8 yards per punt across 13 games, totaling 59 punts for 2,627 yards and a 44.1 yards per punt average. A genuinely solid season for the Longhorns, even though they didn't ultimately return to the college football playoff. The Niners signed him to a 3-year deal worth $3.1 million, a genuinely significant investment that signals real belief in his upside, even though he's not automatically guaranteed a roster spot and will have to legitimately compete with Waitman throughout camp. He'd actually dealt with a work visa issue that kept him off the 90-man roster for a while, which explains the timing of this corresponding move alongside Dinkens landing on the non-football injury list. For context on Waitman specifically, he signed a 1-year deal worth $1.29 million back around St. Patrick's Day this offseason. Either punter option here should represent a real upgrade over Morstead, whose leg strength had genuinely diminished and who struggled at times to consistently pin punts inside the 20 when drives stalled around midfield. There's also a fun wrinkle worth mentioning. Waitman is a right-footed punter while Boasmeister punts left-footed. That distinction actually matters quite a bit around the league, since opposing teams often bring in a punter for practice specifically matching the handedness of their upcoming opponent, because the spin coming off a lefty's foot behaves genuinely differently than a righty's, and return specialists need to prepare accordingly. For what it's worth, last season Waitman actually outperformed Morstead pretty clearly, ranking 3rd in the league in punts inside the 20, 5th in yards per return allowed, and 5th in hang time compared to Morstead ranking in the low 20s across those same categories. Khalil Dinkens, a prospect worth keeping an eye on. As for Khalil Dinkens specifically, He's a genuinely intriguing undrafted rookie the Niners signed after this year's draft. Someone who looked like he could realistically develop into a real depth piece at tight end. He suffered an injury away from the team facility, which is why he landed on that non-football injury list to open up a roster spot. But there's a real chance he could still find his way back to San Francisco down the road. According to NFL.com's scouting report, his college production doesn't necessarily reflect his real explosive athleticism and long-term potential if properly developed. He comes from real NFL bloodlines, moves around the field with the fluidity of a bigger receiver. Though he ran a fairly basic route tree in college and currently lacks the polish needed to fully maximize those routes. He's quick with real build-up speed to attack vertically down the field, and he's already a plus-move blocker with a genuine willingness to block in line, though he'll need to add real strength to sustain at the point of attack. He currently projects as more of a Day 3 developmental pick with real upside attached. Among his listed strengths, explosive straight-line speed for his position, the ability to stem his release and burst up the seam, flashes of real catch focus working through traffic, explosive hips that create a real jolt after the catch, and a genuinely athletic family background, including a father who played 8 seasons in the NFL. Among the concerns, he'd benefit from more physicality within his route running, needs better box-out technique on contested catches, tends to drift at the top of his routes rather than working back to the quarterback, and remains undersized for consistently blocking NFL edge defenders. We'll see whether he ultimately finds his way back to this organization once he's healthy. Is this a make-or-break year for Nick Bosa? Now let's get into a genuinely honest conversation worth having about Nick Bosa. Over time, he's arguably become somewhat underrated among this fan base and around the league too, largely because his truly legendary Defensive Player of the Year campaign back in 2022 set an almost impossibly high bar. Since then, his sack totals haven't matched that peak, though they've remained genuinely solid, just not quite what you'd typically expect from a player earning $30 million a season. Heading into this season, Bosa is coming off a year in which he played barely more than 2 full games. He's now had 3 total ACL procedures across his career, a partial tear back in high school, and 2 full tears at the NFL level, one during his second season back in 2020 and another last season in 2025. 2 of those surgeries have actually come on the very same knee. Unfortunately, there's a broader injury pattern worth acknowledging within the Bosa family more generally, even though his brother Joey has actually stayed relatively healthy throughout most of his own career by comparison. Looking back across Bosa's last 4 seasons genuinely helps explain why there's some real pressure on him now and why some fans have understandably grown a little frustrated. In that legendary 2022 season, he posted 18.5 sacks, 90 total pressures. Vegas's Max Crosby, a name plenty of people around the league consider clearly superior at this point. Over the last 4 seasons, Crosby has actually played in 11 more total games than Bosa, yet only holds a 4.5 sack advantage over that same stretch. Bosa actually has 3 more quarterback hits than Crosby over that span. Crosby does hold a real edge in tackles for loss, but Bosa has 17 more total pressures than Crosby across those same 4 years. That context matters when evaluating exactly how much of Bosa's perceived decline is really about talent versus simply games missed. Here's exactly why there's real pressure riding on this coming season for Bosa specifically. It's genuinely something of a make-or-break year for him financially. If he gets hurt again or simply doesn't perform at a high level, there's a real chance San Francisco moves on from him after this season, given that his salary cap number balloons to $54.9 million in 2027, a number this roster realistically cannot sustain. But if he plays well and stays healthy throughout this season, there's a real chance he's actually in line for a brand new contract once this season wraps up, cashing in yet again. A new wrinkle coming to Fred Warner's game finally. let's talk about something genuinely exciting brewing for Fred Warner. Could this coaching staff actually be adding something new to his already dominant game this season? The Athletic's Dan Pompey recently published a genuinely excellent feature on Warner worth reading in full, and it includes real insight from longtime linebackers coach Johnny Holland. According to that piece, Holland has been around NFL linebackers for 35 of the past 39 years, both as a player and a coach, working with plenty of genuinely talented names throughout that time. But he's reportedly never worked with a player who takes care of his body quite the way Fred Warner does, which is exactly why Holland isn't surprised that Warner, in his own professional opinion, is still genuinely ascending as a player. John Lynch reportedly shares that same belief too. Warner turns 29 this year, and according to Holland, whenever Warner identifies a specific area of his game he wants to improve, he's consistently gone out and actually achieved that exact goal. As a rookie, Warner reportedly missed 18 total tackles across that season, then spent that following offseason working specifically on pairing his eyes and his body together, bringing his feet to contact properly and running through ball carriers with real conviction. According to Holland, that specific improvement was genuinely considerable. This offseason specifically, Warner has reportedly been working on taking better advantage of one-on-one pass rushing opportunities against opposing running backs in blitz situations, something he genuinely hasn't been asked to do very frequently throughout his career up to this point. Holland reportedly hopes Warner gets considerably more of those specific opportunities to rush against running backs this coming season. We already know Warner possesses elite diagnosing skills, a genuinely rare feel for the game, and an off-the-charts football IQ as this defense's unquestioned team captain. He's already tremendous in coverage, but he simply hasn't been used very often as a genuine blitzer or pass rusher throughout his career, even though the limited opportunities he has gotten suggest he's fully capable of excelling in that exact role too. If this coaching staff genuinely starts deploying him more aggressively in that specific capacity this season, opposing offenses should be genuinely nervous. Wrapping it up, so there you have it, faithful. A genuinely fascinating punter competition between Corliss Waitman and rookie Jack Bostmeister that carries real stakes given the holder responsibilities for Eddie Pinheiro. Khalil Dinkens working his way back from injury with real long-term upside still intact. A genuinely honest conversation about Nick Bosa entering a real make-or-break contract year given his looming 2027 cap number. And real excitement building around a brand new pass rushing wrinkle potentially being added to Fred Warner's already elite game this season. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. As always, thank you so much for watching the show. You're all the best, and we'll catch you soon.